What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. I'm once again joined by Tyler. We are back for another video in our Avengers Endgame community series. This time we're going to be talking about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We want to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Thor 4. So this does have to do with the end of Avengers Endgame, technically where they place Thor and what they're going to be doing in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So again, if you don't want spoilers for Avengers Endgame, please turn away now. But if you've already watched this movie and you're okay with that, then you're good to follow us. So Tyler, obviously at the end of this movie, we get Thor going with the Guardians. We see that on Peter Quill's screen, it says they are searching for Gamora, so one could, argue that they're going to be going after her for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But how do you think that this movie, and we hope and we, I guess, assume at this point, although Chris Hemsworth technically does not have a contract in place, they're working on a contract with him, so we expect him to be in many more films, one of those OG members that is going to be continuing past Avengers Endgame. So why do you think and how do you think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will set up Thor 4?
Well, the biggest thing that I think stands out to me is the relationship, because really you do have to look at Infinity War, and I know that they are so different, but obviously you can still call Endgame Part 2 to Infinity War, which is Part 1. They go hand in hand. If you never watched Infinity War and you watch Endgame, you're going to be like, what the hell's happening? So they totally go hand in hand, so you have to look at both to get the whole picture. And when you look at the relationship that Thor has, over these two movies, has established with just Rocket Raccoon, even Groot, but mainly Rocket Raccoon, those two really are, they've become friends. They're buddies. Rocket cares about Thor. Thor is, well, he's kind of out of it in Endgame, but he's just, He likes Rocket too, and Groot, little, all those teenagers, how they are. Nothing can get him away from his gaming machine except when Thor's getting hit by a star, the light of a dying star, and then he goes over and Groot puts down the game and he helps make the axe, because he realizes. And if you remember that when Thor in Endgame is saying how he basically lost everybody, and that's like Groot kind of looks up. And Rocket kind of relates to him because he doesn't have anybody either. So because of those type of little things, and when they arrive together on the battlefield in Infinity War, it's Thor, Rocket, Groot. I remember I said to Alex last year that I think we're going to get Rocket and Groot in the Thor movies. I think those are going to be characters that he brings along with him that are going to be part of the Thor franchise and not the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise after Volume 3. But remember, James Gunn said that after Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is already going to be a different team, after that it might be a totally different team. That makes sense if you eliminate Rocket and Groot and give them to Thor and his franchise for Thor 4. Now that Valkyrie is Queen of Asgard, or New Asgard, on Earth, she could be in it. Doesn't necessarily have to be in it. Hulk could be in it because, again, Hulk was kind of friends with Thor. He goes with Rocket to go get Thor in New Asgard in Endgame. I assume because Rocket's very smart. Bruce Banner's very smart. So they probably kind of became friends a little bit too. And, Thor kind of became friends with Hulk from Ragnarok a little bit. So I feel like you put Rocket, Thor, and even Hulk maybe, or even not, you put them together, and it's kind of like they really have established this little relationship among each other that works really well, and it's something that I think people really enjoy. So I think having Thor now in the Asgardians of the Galaxy 3, which I don't think that'll be the name, but it would be really funny if they do have a AS scribbled in front of the Guardians. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that in like the first teaser trailer. That's years away, but in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, having Thor there, in my opinion, that totally does set up whatever journey that is where Thor is going to find himself. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will set up where Thor's next journey will take him, and I think when he leaves, I don't think he'll be in the other Guardians of the Galaxy movies. It's just his new starting off point. It's kind of going to shoot him off in the new trajectory. And I think Rocket and Groot, because really you can't separate Rocket and Groot. They're together. They've always been together. So I think having them go with Thor into his next adventures, I think it totally makes sense. And I can see it happening. I feel like it's being set up. The fact that I said that over a year ago, the fact that I said that I think Thor is going to have Rocket and Groot in his future solo movies, and here we have at the end of Endgame, which obviously we had no idea what Endgame was even going to be like a year ago. Well, we had theories, but we didn't really know what it was going to be like. And here we are, and Thor's with the Guardians of the Galaxy. It sounds like it's getting pretty close to that image that I was picturing and painting. So I think we are going to see that. I really do. And there really is so much more for them to do with Thor, and to just give him and make him be like a team member for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, that's not to say, by the way, that they can't do Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor team-up movies. I think that we will get that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if in like Thor 5, it would be like a Civil War, Captain America Civil War, which is kind of just like a small Avengers movie. I think we would actually get that. It would, because this would be like the space adventures. I think it would be like, yeah, it's going to be Thor, Rocket, Groot, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy are part of it too. I think that's what we're going to get. I think that's kind of what they're setting up. So, I mean, that's really cool, because then it's almost like you kind of have two different Avenger-style films. One is on Earth, one is in space, and then you bring them all together again. It makes sense with the expanding roster that they're really going to have to do that kind of stuff. So I think it's totally, they're painting the picture, they're setting it up, the pieces are being put in place, and Fat Thor, which we're going to have a video talking about whether or not it worked, but Fat Thor, if you really look at Thor, all the versions of Thor, Fat Thor is Thor at his worst. That is at his lowest of lows. He's emotional. He's an emotional wreck. He can't even. It was funny, and he just he can't take it. But now he's on the upswing, because he's taking what his mother told him and said that you can't be the person that you're supposed to be. You have to be the person that you are. So now that he's on that, now we have Thor, who he's kind of that was his downside, or his the downtrend. He hit rock bottom. Now he's working his way back up. So now we're going to see that working his way back up. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to set him towards that upward, back to, when he is like that hero that arrives in Infinity War. He has to hit that point again, but go past that. So that's what we're going to get, and it all is because of Guardians of the Galaxy, the events of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's what I think.
I agree. I mean, I think, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 has a really big potential here, and it has the potential not only to, like you said, kind of catapult Thor and put him in a different area, but now they're given this character, right? So before Guardians of the Galaxy is Guardians of the Galaxy, and people absolutely adore that franchise and love those characters, and now we get a character that really has been on the up and up ever since Thor Ragnarok, and he's always been good in the Avengers films, but Thor was not, and even there were articles saying that he was pretty burned out of the Marvel movies before they got to Thor Ragnarok. So this is a character that, he's gone through a lot already, technically, but really we can kind of start him off just in Ragnarok, because I think a lot of people would just drop the first two Thor films, and he was pretty different in the Avengers films in general. I think that's more aligned with where he was going anyway. But now we finally got some different aspects of Thor. We've never seen him like we saw him in this film, and whether that worked or not, we're going to talk about in the next video. But, we had him as the, insane god that he was in Infinity War. We got some really cool moments with him in Ragnarok, and then Endgame, obviously we got to see him, like Tyler said, at his absolute lowest. So it makes sense, and I think, placing him with the Guardians at the end of this movie, all they need to do is work out the contract, and he's good for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then I agree. I mean, I think it makes sense to kind of give him some of the Guardians, not all, but just some, like Tyler said, Groot and Rocket, and go off on his own adventures, because he is this very dynamic character. He's a character character that people love, and he's a character that 100%, I mean, they are not done with, or they really should not be done with him for quite some time. Will his time eventually come where it's like, okay, you've been through at the point that he's done, he'll be probably the longest tenured Avenger for sure, but it's like, I think they still have a lot of time left with him. He's just now hitting, in terms of popularity, he's at the peak, right? He's at the very high moment of how much people really, really love that character. And in terms of his actual character progression, he just came out, like Tyler said, of his lowest of low. So now it's time for him to get that spunk back, which I'm sure, the Guardians will pretty help. It'll be cool to see him and Star-Lord, and those two really do make a pretty nice pair that they started in Infinity War. So seeing those two together, I think is going to be really, really cool. It'll give him the spunk that he needs back in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then we'll see what they do with him for Thor 4. So I think 100%, I think Guardians really, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they'll be searching for Gamora. There'll be a lot on the table. We'll have to see how James Gunn does with all the stuff that's happened with him. There'll be a lot of eyes on all that stuff, but another big aspect of that film is, what are they going to do with Thor? What's going to happen with Thor? Not just in that movie, not just how he reacts to the other Guardians, but what they can do with him afterwards for the future Thor movies. So, guys, let us know in the comments below. Well, what do you think? How do you think they're going to use Thor for Guardians of the Galaxy 3? What would you want to see from future Thor movies? Let us know, and make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. Again, they've been going up every single day on our channel, and we have a couple more videos over the next week or so of Avengers Endgame, talking about the ending of the movie, talking about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we hope to see you on the next one.